Hello everyone, this is the Epson 1430 and we will be installing this continuous ink system I purchased on eBay, and I will put a link in the description below of where you can buy it. So let's get started. The first thing that you want to do is push the ink button. What that will do is it will release the carriage from its resting place and it will let you slide it around. Once it's in position, we will go ahead and take out all of the existing ink cartridges. It's wedged in kind of tight. Okay. And close that. Now, with it in the ink mode, we will be unplugging it. Set this aside. Okay, now that it's unplugged and it's in the ink mode, we can slide this around, as you can see. First thing we're going to do is pop off this little piece right here, if we can. That gives you a screwdriver. Once that's off, we should be able to remove this. So with the cover off, we can now install the ink cartridge. So we will slide it over here to put it in. Okay, so now here's the tank system. The reason why I bought this one as opposed to any others that you see on eBay is these tanks are very large and they're transparent. Some of these come in a dark plastic case and you can't tell how low you're getting. I want to always be able to see, and also if you look right here, there's a reset button right there. Some models of continuous ink systems require you to take out the cartridges and then put them back in. I do not want to mess with that. Once it's in, I want it to stay in, and so that's what I will be doing. So the first thing is we will be installing this. And we'll be placing it right in there. Now another nice thing, in case you're wondering, I thought this was rigid. This is very flexible tubing, and so it shouldn't have a problem. That was one of the things that I was really curious about before actually buying this, is how rigid this would be if it was going to be banging around inside the compartment. So we will put this right here. Now the thing is, you want to make sure that you do not raise your ink tank above the print head. The other thing is, you want to make sure that your ink line is not twisted or bent when you put it in. Okay, so we will be placing these in. And you just want to make sure that each one clicks into place. Alright, it is properly seated. Okay, the next thing you want to do is take this thing here, and we'll be attaching it to the side. Let's see if we can. The side over here. And that will hold the hoses so they're not yanking around, pulling on there. It will hold the ink lines to the side. Okay. Now here's the other thing you want to do. Once you have that secured there, you want to push this over as far as it will go, so that when you attach this, you know that this line, that there's enough space for this to travel. If you attach, let's say right here, then it will yank right there and stop it. So you want this to be able to, the print head to travel as far as it needs to travel. And okay, now this next part is actually kind of re-recorded. I placed these plastic things incorrectly. It didn't really show you exactly how to do it in the instructions, and so what I'm about to show you is the proper way, and you'll notice that my hands are covered in ink. We'll get to that part, another correction that I have, but I just wanted to let you know that
this is kind of a jump cut because this is after I realized I put it in the wrong place. So I'm showing you the proper place to put these plastic ink line holders. All right, with that said, let's get back to it.
All right, I've got it all set up perfectly. It took me a little bit of time. If you noticed at the beginning, I put this right there. That's the wrong place. I put it somewhere around here, kind of in the middle, because basically this line, as it's being moved across, you want it to go as far to the right and left as possible, but you also want to make sure that the ink lines are not dragging down in the bed, because there's actually ink that sprays down there. And so I've mounted this bracket up high and at the same kind of parallel with this here. I guess it's perpendicular, but you don't want this bracket over here or down low. I brought it up as high as I could, and so that it's aligned with this T bracket. That way you have the full range of motion, but it's not dragging, and you're going to have to kind of mess around with this. Otherwise, all of your prints are going to have a grayish streaks lines as this whole print head is moving across. It will also be dragging, dipping this in the ink below the on the print bed and dragging it onto your print. So do that and you will have happier prints. All right, and then you want this to be, you know, not super tight, but you don't want any unnecessary slack on this. So there you have it. Okay, so then they give you one more clip like this, and we'll be attaching it right here. Okay, there we go. And again, keeping it straight from being pinched or twisted, we will put it right here. Okay, now the next thing you want to do is to have these replaced with these aspirator devices. And what these do is allow the ink to travel through the tubes. As long as those are plugged in still, you will not have any ink traveling through. So we will go ahead and close that just slightly, and I'll move the camera over so we can see a little better. Okay, so there's two plugs here. This plug is to refill the ink, and this plug here is to replace with this kind of breathing tube. Okay, so here we are at the second jump cut. I'm going to show you something. One, you should wear gloves when you're doing this unless you don't care that you're getting ink all over yourself. And two, I'll show you this next step that I did and learned actually on another printer that I installed, a continuous ink system that will prevent all of this ink from coming out. Okay, so there's little channels. I don't want to hold it up, but there's little channels of this allows the air to go through, and these are plugged for shipping so you can install it. Eventually you will be taking these out. We're going to be doing this next. These are for refilling. But before you take this off, if you look, these channels are full of ink. And there is pressure in these tanks, just air pressure, from being at a different altitude. So sometimes you're going to take these off and the ink is going to come rising up. We don't want any mess here, so here's one of the things. You tip this forward and allow this ink to drain into the main reservoir. So the small channel in the back stays empty as much as possible. Okay, so if you can see, I don't know how well you can see, but the ink that is in these channels now is a lot less. So that way when we take off these plugs, we are not going to have a giant mess on our hands. Okay, now you want to have a pair of gloves. If you care about the way your hands look, I wish I had some. That's, I guess, the only thing that's missing. And I just tried to find my gloves. I couldn't find them, so we will be doing this without gloves. And we'll just be a little more careful this time. So we will plug this straight into there. Oh, it looks like it wants to go. There's two sides. There's one that's narrower, so we will I would think that it okay, it wedges in kind of tightly. So just stick that in so it can breathe. And there's two sides. So if you see kind of the tapered side with that notch versus, so this side sticks up and this goes in. Alright, let's see if we can do this a little less messy. Okay, alright, we did it. So just take your time. I didn't expect the explosion. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. We're going to plug it in. Okay, so if you can see here, it doesn't like any of the ink. So let's go ahead and try pushing the reset button. We may have to push the ink button first. And then we will push the reset. Okay, it appears to have accepted it. If you look, you can see that all of these lights are now off. Okay, so there you have it, the installation of the continuous ink system. My only advice here is definitely have some gloves. But if you like this video, please rate, comment, and if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching.